Migrant families travel every few months depending on which crops are in season.
And they're moving in order to survive, but it leaves their kids hopping from school to school. KC24's Christina Tatro followed some of these families and the people working to help the kids get the most out of their education.
Almost 8,000. That's how many migrant students there are in Madera through Merced up to Stanislaus County. These are children whose families work in the fields, barely making enough money to make ends meet, stuck in the vicious cycle of working to live. It's an early morning for Victoria Perez. She begins a familiar routine. She's in the kitchen. First, preparing all meals for her children and grandchildren. After waking up her daughter Georgina, the two make sure everything's ready for the 7 others in their home while they're at work. They'll be gone most of the day. Far from any city limits, headlamps light up this Merced County field, illuminating grapevines as dozens of workers arrive, ready to tend to the crops. It's now 5 a.m. There's no wasting time. Victoria, her husband, their son, and daughter Georgina work in the fields 7 days a week. She says it's very demanding, hard on the body. They're always leaning over and crouching. It's work Victoria's done to support her family since she arrived in the U.S. Here in the grape fields, they get paid 5 cents per vine that they work on. Each family member prunes 1,000 to 1,500 vines a day, which equals out to only about $50 to $75. Barely making ends meet, a life Victoria didn't want for Georgina. She says their life is very hard. They live no more than to pay rent and buy food. A cycle Georgina doesn't want for her daughter Alma or for the rest of her siblings. But they can't stay here all year. Grapes aren't always in season. The Perez family, like most migrant families, go where the work is, moving across counties and sometimes states at least twice a year. She says they have to take advantage of this time because they don't always have stable work here. For migrant children, constantly moving means interrupting the school year. Having parents who don't speak English adds a greater barrier to navigating the school system. These students, who wake up early with their families or move from school to school, often face other challenges.
There's a very low self-esteem for the most part in the majority of these students. As a matter of fact, sometimes they're the invisible students. Sometimes they're even embarrassed about their own parents.
David Ramos is a supervisor for the Merced County Office of Education's Migrant Services Program. He and his team have worked with the Perezes for years.
We come in and interview them to see if their children qualify for our supplemental instructional services. And once we go ahead and qualify them, then we link them up to all resources.
It's now 8 p.m. Victoria and Georgina haven't rested all day, but they're sitting in a boardroom alongside dozens of other migrant families, learning from Ramos and his team at a monthly meeting. Georgina, so grateful for the program, she now sits on the Migrant Family Leadership Board, helping connect other families like hers. She says she's tired, but it's always better to be in the know, making sure her family knows the importance of an education.
I want to be able to have a better life to make my family proud.
Alma may be 12 years old, but her experiences have made her tough, giving her perspective.
I used to get bothered by the types of jobs that my classmates' parents had, but now I'm very proud actually that I got to grow up in a family that worked in the field.
No matter how little the Perezes sleep or how tired they are. She tells us a saying, anyone can take away your material things, but no one can take away what you've learned. Their lives are a sacrifice, making sure their sons and daughters see a brighter day. Since filming, the Perez family has already moved from Merced County to Oregon to work in the blueberry fields for the rest of the summer before their kids go back to school in August. Reporting in the studio, Christina Tatro, KC24, local news that matters.
New tonight, migrant families travel every few months, depending on what crops are in season.
The families move to survive. KC24's Christina Tatro introduces us to one migrant family who lives in a camp and spends their days working the fields to support the family.
Imagine moving from place to place and school to school, working in the boiling sun to keep food on the table and a roof over your head. One family is living that reality right here in the valley. This is a look at their journey. Like every morning, her day starts in the kitchen. She usually wakes up at 4 a.m. and giggles that she was a little late this morning, making breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the family. Zoila Valencia runs this household, getting everything ready before the sun comes up so she, her husband, and son can leave for the day. Most of the year, the Valencias live in one of Merced County Office of Education's migrant centers in Atwater, a community of homes with subsidized rent for families who travel seasonally for work in the fields. She says they help them with money to pay for everything like rent and food. It's a mad rush most mornings, but she's not alone, getting her youngest son out of bed and checking him into the center's preschool, waking up her daughter, and dropping her at a neighbor's so they can take her to school on time. It takes a village, and everyone works together here. As her husband and son leave for work in the fields, she waits for her carpool. We now find the mom of four here, within these fields covered with rain clouds where dozens of hats shade the faces of women working tirelessly grooming sweet potato roots. They're preparing the area as well as the roots so the sweet potatoes can grow. For almost 10 hours a day, their hands don't stop. She says they have to find and take out the smallest ones because they won't grow. It's work not many want to do, but has to be done. Because they sell all of this to other areas around the world. When sweet potatoes are in season, she gets paid $11 an hour, a wage she thinks is fair, but not enough to live without help. She says when they finish work here, some years they move back to Mexico to work in a restaurant or help their family in a store. The county's Office of Education's Migrant Services program has kept her family out of desperation as they migrate from field to field to work throughout the year. She says they help them with so much, with different things like the dentist and the doctor. They help them live here. Zoila goes as far as saying she can't imagine her life without this help. These may not seem like ideal conditions. But as mariachi music plays, you see each one of these women smiling and giggling. They're a family out here. This is a place Zoila feels at home, with less stress, where she feels like she can contribute. It's a place she gets to be outside, away from the home, and it's a place where she feels free, enjoying where she is in the moment. The Migrant Family Services Program started nationwide in 1966 and is federally funded through Title I Part C. The Merced County Office of Education is one of the original counties in the state of California to use the program and has some years where they have served over 30,000 students at a time. If you'd like more information on their services, the number is right here on the screen. Reporting in the studio, Christina Tatro, KC24, local news that matters.
Hard work, long days.
We can't even imagine.
No, we can't.